Good morning, sunshines. A while ago, I mentioned that I wanted to do a topic of videos, like a series kind of, called Advice with a Hot Mess Express with me, the Hot Mess Express herself. And people seemed interested in it. I had a lot of emails at the time. This was about mid-December. I'm back on it. I have compiled my advice questions and kind of separated them into categories, and I thought we would try out one of those videos today. I think it could be fun. I was going through it and I was thinking of a lot of ideas and advice that I had. So I think this is gonna be great. Today's topic, I did a little poll on Instagram. It was literally 31 minutes ago, so I haven't had it up that long, but I wanted to go ahead and record this while it's daylight outside and nice. The first topic is kind of how to be independent, how to be yourself, taking risks, being on your own, etc. Because that is something I've obviously learned a lot about. Like this little Zen oasis thing I'm trying to get. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm always just trying to find the lighting and I'm like, here's a good spot for today. So, advice. Question 1. I'm indecisive about moving. I live in a small town. It's a blessing and all, but I'm ready to do more. I currently have a sick parent, 6 months to live. So I want to do all that I can to not spiral downward when she does leave. I want to be successful. You have been a lot of places. Could you advise me on how your move was and how did you know what to pick? Love you lots. That is such an impossible situation to get through. I can't even imagine losing a parent, especially when you're younger or, you know, like you're about to move out and everything. So that's a really hard situation to deal with, and I totally commend you for trying to think ahead and kind of be there for yourself even through it all, because I think that's really important. It's something people forget to do a lot. So when you're moving out on your own, the things that I like to keep in mind when I'm moving to a new place. When I was 18, as soon as I graduated, I moved to San Antonio, Texas from Seguin, which is like a little town outside San Antonio. And when I first moved there, I was working at a movie theater, you know, I had no job and I didn't know what I was going to be doing in San Antonio. So I ended up, and I wouldn't recommend doing it this way, but this is a way that you could do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would save up the money yourself first. But I ended up getting some student loans because I was going to a community college there. And I got some student loans to basically pay for my living for the first couple months while I was looking for a job and everything like that. So I moved to San Antonio and I used that to pay for my rent, my car payment, my phone, and everything for the first month. I was probably there a month before I found a job, a month or two. I first started working at GameStop. That was the first job I got. They hired me like on the spot after my interview. And that was not a well-paying job. It was hourly, very low hourly. I think it was like maybe $8 an hour or something. And I mean, needless to say, it wasn't gonna pay the bills. They weren't giving me that many hours and everything like that. But I worked there for a bit, and then after that I worked at Olive Garden. And waitressing and bartending tends to make more money in Texas, at least that's where it was, as opposed to minimum wage. So I worked there, and that is how I met people. That is how I got my friends that I still have now. Even after Olive Garden, I worked at Grimaldi's, which is a pizza place. That's where I met Sammy and a bunch of other friends that I still talk to now. So I think working in a new area, that's usually how I have found friends, especially before like social media was huge and everything. In regards to moving to a new spot, what I would recommend is having your finances in order beforehand, so you don't have to have those student loans to help you out. I would say you need to get enough for 2 to 3 months in advance. For that, you need to figure out, like, if you're gonna get your own apartment, you might have to do a deposit. When I was 18, I was living, I found my roommates off Craigslist, like, that just needed an extra roommate, you know what I mean? And I just lived in random places for like $300 a month in like their spare room, and it was fine. That was fine for me at the time. That's what I did to get by, because I wasn't making any money, you know? There's always a way to make it work when you move to a new spot. And I was friends with some of my roommates then. Like, I ended up always living with cool people that I could actually hang with. And living in a college neighborhood or something is really helpful for when you meet new people, if you want people your age range, if that is the age range that you're going for, I guess. Right now, like, obviously I wouldn't like that, but at the time it was fun. I just think, you know, taking the plunge and doing it has always been worth it. It's always scary, it's always kind of lonely at first, but I think it's so empowering to know that you can do it, to know that you can do it on your own, that no one helped you get there. I didn't have a dime from my parents, like nothing. And I made it, and I did it, and I struggled, but it felt good. And it feels good now to know that I never needed anyone's like help to get me there. Like I didn't, and to be fair, like everyone has help along the way, like here and there, you know, but I didn't need anyone. I could do it on my own and I knew it. And you should take that feeling, and even if it's not the best year of your life or whatever, just do it, just to know that you can, you know what I mean? I think that's really important if you've never done that before, to have that experience and to get that feeling. And then you always hold that inside of yourself, because you always know that at the end of the day, if everything else fell apart and your whole life crumbled in front of you, like, you know that you're capable of it and that you can be yourself and be on your own and do it yourself. And just a tip about like the finances part, when you're planning something like that, a move, and you need a few months of finances in advance. For example, let's say for a couple months while you're searching for a job or whatever you gotta do, you need $2,000 and you wanna save that up. You're gonna give yourself 3 months before you move. And that's just ballpark numbers, I don't know. So to make that in 3 months, you'd need to save $166 a week. I've already done this math. So in order for me to do that, for example, I would cut out, like I'd stop getting my nails done, I'd stop getting my eyelashes done, I wouldn't get my hair done, I'd just sacrifice a couple things like that just for those couple months. You know, I'm not saying don't ever do those little self-love practices, but I would trade them for doing my nails at home and stuff like that, or just budget that kind of stuff in, because it's totally doable. And it seems daunting at first, like if you just look at the number 2,000, like that number when I was 18, no way. I would have looked at him and like, no, that's not possible. There's no way, because at that time that was like a very daunting number to me. And that's why I got a what, $3,500 loan or something. But regardless, it is doable. Just take everything that you need and put it in little bite-sized amounts that you can do every day or every week, and just do that day by day. There's a really good book that I'll link below that I read that kind of suggests a lot of practices you can do to do that. So I think that's a great question though. I think that's a great thing to do for yourself. Okay, next question. These two are really similar, so I'm gonna read them both and then I'm gonna talk about them. But one is, I recently went through a breakup. I always consider myself a very independent person who enjoys my alone time. However, after being in a relationship for so long, I'm finding it difficult to be on my own at the moment. I was hoping maybe you could give me some advice on what helped you feel okay on your own, and that you don't need attention or reassurance from anyone else. And the second one is, I'm 24. I just got out of a long distance relationship, or a long relationship, and I'm having a hard time loving myself and discovering the things I actually want to do and the person I want to be, because I haven't been single since I was 18. At the end of the day, I'm not sure where to start. I feel like it's hard to meet new friends, and as an adult, start a new journey by myself. Can you give me any advice on what you do or things that helped you? I think this is such a defining moment in your life, because it is a time, and this is the first step, like realizing, what do I even like to do? What should I be doing? Like, who am I? And I remember always seeking that validity from someone else, and it's a very freeing, and I always use the word empowering, but it's a very empowering feeling to know you and to know what you want to do and to do it regardless of what anyone else thinks. I think that there are so many risks that people are afraid to take. For example, you want to be a model or you want to be a photographer, but you're just scared that no one's going to, or people are going to make fun of you, or people are going to talk shit about what you created and what you are or what you're trying to do. And I know that kind of fear, especially when I lived back in Texas, I used to always be afraid of dressing a certain way. And I would think these like cool street style clothes were so fun and cool, and then I would put them on, and then I would literally get made fun of. And I did not have self-confidence at the time, so I would go change immediately and I'd take that shit off. I felt embarrassed about it, but I knew it was something I liked, etc. So even now, like, and now that I live in LA, I feel like, first of all, no one here cares. But I mean, I get made fun of a ton on the internet, so regardless, maybe I'm just numb to it at this point. But now I'll wear whatever I want. I don't care if my shoes look stupid to you. Like, I don't care. I'm gonna wear them because I like them and I want to wear them, and it's none of your business what I'm doing. So you have to take that feeling and you have to live that feeling when you're on your own. You have to wear what you want. You have to realize, like, Marie Kondo it, you know, you're like, is this giving me joy? Does this game give me joy? Does taking photos give me joy? Does editing photos give me joy? Does working out give me joy? Does interior decorating give me joy? Like, what do you do and you're just like, and you feel yourself and you feel motivated to do it or driven to do it, or you think about it all the time, or when you're doing it you get into this zone where you just feel complete almost. Do the things you love to do and don't ask someone else for their opinion on it if they think that's something you should do, or if they approve, or if they think it's cool too. It's like, because that is what will destroy you, and just it'll just ruin your self-esteem at the end of the day, or it did for me. I feel that you really have to own yourself, but it's not like anyone else can tell you, and that's the hard part, because like I can advise you to do that, but I can't tell you what it is or how to do it exactly, because that's something you really have to kind of know in yourself. You have to get past other people's opinions and know what you want, and that's the hardest part, but you can do it. You can do it. I hope that answered the question right. Next question. It says, okay, so I just turned 28. I'm also 28. And I'm feeling like I have no idea what I'm doing with my life still. Like literally, what the F am I doing? I find it hard to make friends because everyone is having babies, already have their shit seemingly together. I really love my hobbies, gaming, baking, etc. And I feel like if I got more involved with the hobby professionally, I would meet more like-minded people to be friends with. But I'm afraid of turning a hobby I love into a job that will ruin how much I enjoy it. So I'm asking you for your advice as you turned your love for fitness into a way to make a living and you met some of your best friends. Have you ever regretted making your passion your job? Why is life so hard? Why must life be so hard? So in my opinion, I think turning what you love into a job is great. As much as I get annoyed with like fitness type stuff because I've been doing it so long, so it's so repetitive in my brain. I think it's more that has not ruined fitness for me, but made it a little more tedious. It's a little more, it's like repetition. It's like, I love it, but sometimes I just want to try something else. I want to do something else for a minute, you know what I mean? But at the same time, at least with fitness, it is something that is at the core health conscious, so I do it regardless of how much I'm in love with it at the time. And I think in regards to that specifically, and meeting people through that, I think it's great because they always keep me motivated and keep me grounded and keep me remembering why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think in regards to like, I kind of think of what I would do after fitness so I can be more relatable in case that's not exactly your goal to make a career out of. But for example, I'm obsessed with redecorating my house and putting new things in it and moving everything around. I don't know why. Sometimes I think it's like a tic I have, but I think that interior decorating is something that I wouldn't mind going to school for and pursuing in the future. And I don't think that pursuing that would make me lose my love for it. I think it would grow my love for it because I'd get to see so many new people and do so many different kinds of houses, and it wouldn't just be the same 4 bedrooms again and again and again. So things like that, I think you really can turn your loves and the things that you enjoy into jobs if you really want to, and if that's something feasible that you think you could do, depending on, I guess, what your hobbies are. The last question for this topic of the advice says, my life is so dull and boring. I feel like I'm just existing. I want to either buy a van or travel the world, which would be by myself, so I don't know how fun that would be, or if I want to pick up and move somewhere. Most likely California like you did. That was so brave and inspiring, but here's the thing. I would need to find a job that I could do on the road or a job out in California. I don't know if this is realistic for me as I'm in my 40s. Everyone thinks I'm crazy when I tell people what I want to do. I need friends who like to travel. I need a Thelma to my Louise. I want a different life, but I'm scared. Any advice? I think a great, first of all, the book that I've already mentioned before, you should read this book because this woman that wrote the book is also older. She did some like huge changes to her life. She moved to some island in the Caribbean at 40-something years old and made a life out there and lived there for years. I mean, she might still live there now. I don't remember what she says in the book exactly, but it's called, I'm gonna grab it for you. Hold on. Okay, here's the book. It's called Get Your Shit Together. I found it at the airport one day and I love it. It says how to stop worrying about what you should do so you can finish what you need to do and start doing what you want to do. 10 out of 10 recommend for this specific situation and for so many situations. There's a lot of bits in the book that I'm like, I don't relate to that part, but I do relate to that, and it's super helpful. I think you'll love it. Regardless, I think taking risks is really important in life, and if you take it and you fail, that's the potential. It's like you take this risk, this thing that you're scared to do, and you're like, oh, I could just blow up my face and fail completely. Like there's two standpoints, you know what I mean? And the worst that can happen is that you fail. It's like, okay, but at least you tried it. You're not gonna wonder 10 years later or 20 years later or on your deathbed, I don't know, what would have happened if I just tried that one thing. Like at least you did it and you failed and you know, at least you know what would have happened, you know what I mean? Like I never want to look back and think, damn, what if I just done that, you know? And I try to live my life by that kind of standpoint. Everyone has slip-ups, and it's a hard thing to do. It's so much easier said than done. But sometimes I feel like you just need that extra push, and you just need to be like, you gotta YOLO it. You know what I mean? You gotta save up the money, do what you need to do, take the risk. If it all blows up in your face, you're gonna have a great story for later anyway. That's what I always think of. Every single like silly catastrophe type thing in my life, I'm always like, you know what? That was a great story for later. And that's how I always feel about it. But I would say just take the plunge and try it. I think some people, for example, might move out to a new place and they don't make any friends and they give up and they go home. And that sucks, and I always kind of think like, could you have tried harder? Like what could have happened there? Like sometimes I also relate to that. Like it's possible and you could, and maybe that was the right decision for you all along, but at least you have those experience, you have that knowledge you gained, you have that to look back on and to know how you can plan future moves and decisions in your life. And I think it's really important to always have new experiences. And if you just stay in the same rut and the same thing and you just hate every minute of your life and like, what are you doing? And you just have to change something, mix it up, try it out, or maybe take baby steps in that direction, even if you can't go all out, you know what I mean? Yeah, one day at a time, you can do it, but just do it. I really enjoyed doing that. I love all the questions and advice questions that I got, and I'm not in any way saying that I'm qualified to give advice or like you should always listen to me and I know the right way. This is just kind of, I guess, things I've learned through life experience, which I feel like I've had a decent amount of at this point because I've been living on my own for 10 years. I've had several long-term relationships. I feel like I've learned a lot of what not to do. So I really hope that I can help in some way, or maybe, you know, something I said kind of sparks you and pushes you to do something that you wouldn't have done before. And I have the next topic I'm gonna do is more like relationship wise, or like getting into relationships or flirting with boys, or what you should do, or etc. and that. So I hope you guys enjoy that one too. But that's all for advice with this hot music breath. I will see you guys in the next video. Love you so much. Ta-ta for now. Bye.